Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the regular meetings of the Housing Successor Agency, and City Council to order. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Martin, Councilmember Mora,
Here.
Councilmember Sarno,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Zamora,
Here.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Thank you. I would like to call upon Councilmember Martin to give the invocation. Please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we give thanks tonight for the privilege of meeting together to deliberate on matters affecting our city. We ask for your guidance in our efforts to work for the betterment of our community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I would like to call upon Councilmember Martin to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please put your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Public comments are now open. Anyone joining us through Zoom can use the raise hand function if you wish to make a public comment on any item on the agenda or not on the agenda. The city clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application. For those that are here to make a public comment in person, you will have an opportunity once the city clerk announces your name. You will have 3 minutes to speak. City clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, we have a couple of speakers today. The first speaker is Jennifer Rounds.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jennifer Rounds. I live on Greeley Road. I'm a longtime resident of Santa Fe Springs, and my Garcia family has lived here since the early 50s, if you didn't know that. The reason I'm here today is to share my experience at the last council meeting. I was in attendance because our new neighbors were receiving a beautification award along with several other residents and their families. Before the awards were presented, the council discussed an agenda item regarding the proposed business tax. During the discussion, I was shocked to hear a council member state he did not care if businesses left the city. I thought if a business was to leave, that would mean employees would be out of a job, and even worse, what if they were Santa Fe Springs residents? Then the same council member went on a rant and rave, which was not related to the agenda item, by politicking and making reference to a former council member and one of his own family members. I was surprised there was no attempt to stop the irrelevant comments being made. The residents who were there for a joyous occasion had to sit there shaking their heads and listen to council members carry on. For many of these residents, they were attending a council meeting for the first time. I could only imagine what they were thinking. In my opinion, this was shameful, heartbreaking, leading me to walk out of the meeting. There is obviously a lack of leadership, humbleness, and respect for each other. I hope this message acts as a plea to respect one another and to know that your job is to listen, understand, communicate, and support and work together to make our city great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Randall Courtney.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for this time. Regarding the business tax, I told you 2 weeks ago, I had done an audit of my company, and our expenses have gone up 26% since January. I did an audit of one of my websites today. They've gone down between 22 and 23% on the orders. By implementing this tax on us today, if you guys pull this together and go through with this, you're going to be hurting a lot of people. Across the United States, I employ about 100 people. And somebody's going to go. Maybe people from Santa Fe Springs, maybe people in Missouri, Illinois, Texas, I don't know where yet. But you need to know that. You need to understand that. And as far as the previous speaker, yeah, we know where you stand, and we understand that. And it's not appreciated after we spent 20-something years in this city personally volunteering and working with the city, trying to make sure that everything runs smoothly. For you to say for us to go ahead and leave, that's about the short-sightedest thing I've heard in weeks. Thank you.
Next, we have Andy Sands.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Andy Sands, and I'm the CEO of Thrifty Oil and Golden Springs Development. Of course, you know Moshe and the family, and I represent them. I represent all of our businesses. And as you know, we're the largest owner of real estate in Santa Fe Springs. We have dozens of tenants who employ hundreds, if not thousands of employees. So we've had a great relationship, a working relationship with all of you and your predecessors, and we'd like to continue that. It's very important that we work closely together and we collaborate. In the past, when the city has identified financial needs, we've collaborated and we've come up with solutions. We supported Measure Y, and we supported the utilities tax, which raised a lot of money for the city. And so when Ray and team called and said, we have a problem with the roads, we listened. And we've been working with Ray. We reviewed your reports on the need for $10 million a year for roads. At least that's what the report said. We agree that there is an issue, and we're willing to work with the city. Now, this has been moving very quickly, and we've looked at a number of proposals that your consultants have come up with. We provided feedback, and it's very quickly moved to this point where there's this new Model 7, and there's some things about Model 7 that we like, but at the same time, we just received the ordinance language on Wednesday. And we had our first meeting with you, Ray, and your team on yesterday. And we provided a summary through the chamber of comments from the meeting. I believe that there's a lot of work to do on this still. We need to collaborate. We need clarity in the provisions. There's inconsistencies. I think we can make it better. It'd be good for the community, for the business community, and be good for the city. So we're willing to work with you to come up with ideas. I don't feel like, I think going from A to Z to raise $6 or $10 million overnight, I believe it's too much, but willing to think about it. We'd be in favor of something that's smaller. We'd be in favor of maybe delaying this until we can through the details, but we got to get it right. And this is moving at lightning speed, and I just don't feel like we're ready to make this decision tonight. But whatever the outcome is, we'll be supportive and we'll help work through the final language. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Becky Merriweather.
Good evening.
My name is Becky Merriweather. I live here in Santa Fe Springs. The reason why I came up here today because I'm really disheartened because I've been living here for a long time and there's a tax increase on the rent, 10% rate increase. What is Santa Fe Springs going to do for these people that live in Santa Fe Springs? That is $1 away from being homeless, number one. My second question is, Santa Fe Springs is one of the cities, it's not one of the richest cities. It's closest to one of the richest cities. It once was the richest cities because of industrial. But my concern is now Santa Fe Springs doesn't have any rent control. Period. You guys don't have any rent control. And the senior building that I live in, I don't know if any of you know it, but a 1-bedroom for a senior is $2,000. A 2-bedroom upstairs for a senior is $2,500. Those seniors that are retired, yes, I am retired, but I retired well. But the point being is I'm looking at the ones that are continuously moving, having to leave and go live with their family members or be homeless because there is no rent control in this city. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Diego Delame.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for hearing me out. My name is Diego Delama. I'm a small business owner here in the city of Santa Fe Springs. I've been one for about 5 years. And up until this business tax increase thing, I've had a great relationship with all of you. And I want to thank you for that. And, the only thing I'm going to say is please, as business owners, we have to budget as well. We have to make tough decisions as well. We have to, sometimes raise our prices, sometimes do things that are not very popular. But whenever those decisions are made, we take our time. We look at every possible, outcome before making the ultimate decision, right? To raise a price, to raise a fee or cut something. We have to go through a systematic process of looking at, the consequences, the unintended consequences, and especially the unknown unknowns, things that we don't know could happen, right? And so one of those things, when something like this gets processed so quickly, sometimes those things are skipped and they might end up hurting us in the long run. I urge you to please review everything carefully and look at what could happen. What are some of the consequences that could happen if we don't look at every single aspect of this? Maybe take a little more time to consider and consult with us. Thank you.
Next, we have Ronald Wilson.
I didn't know that I'd been signed up, but I'm here with my wife, Leticia. It's about Central Basin. They filed a lawsuit against her some time ago to stop her free speech. We were here some months ago, and I think the comment was, well, there are two sides to every story. I think that's what your city manager said. So now 3 judges have heard the case. And we had the final ruling on the 28th of July, and the judge threw the case out. He had a 5-page ruling. Leticia will present it to you. In a 5-page ruling, 8 different times, he said Central Basin had no evidence. I'm not talking about a little bit of evidence and we had more. They had no evidence at all. It's just the lawyers trying to stop her from talking about pollutants in the water and the water tax. So now what'll happen is I'll present them a big bill. They'll have to pay that. Their lawyer who came to court with no evidence, I encourage you to read the judge's opinion. It's really incredible. So he's been billing them, I don't know, he's billing maybe close to $500,000 on this case. Why can he do that? Because the council people don't care. One of the people who's, not the council, I'm sorry, the Central Basin board members, one of whom is here, and Mr. Negretti, he's on the board. He voted for this silly lawsuit. They support this stuff. The lawyer comes, he doesn't present a written report. He doesn't present any report at all. He just comes and says, we have to keep going. We have to keep going. And these guys vote for that. All of them, they vote for it. The only ones who vote against it are Martha Camacho Rodriguez from Downey and Leticia. So they're wasting the taxpayers' money. It's a grudge match. Why? Because she's talking about illegal activity. Why? Because she's talking about Art Chacon's 10 convictions. Why? Because she's talking about Bob Apodaca. He's out of Whittier. They had to pay $700,000 for his sexual harassment claim. She talks about these things. She represents the people. She talks on behalf of the people. They don't like it. They use the public money to hire lawyers. And these lawyers, I mean, they're even bad lawyers. They don't even present evidence. It's easy for me to be. But it costs the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. These guys just don't give a damn. I'm telling you. I hope you guys pay attention and ask Mr. Negretti to stop supporting the wasted money. If they're going to hire someone in sewer, at least they could win or present some evidence. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next, we have Leticia Vasquez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I come before you again. I've been here at least 10 times over the past year, pleading and asking that you intervene and that you do something about Mr. Noah Negrete, who represents your city on the Central Basin Municipal Water District. I'm an elected board member there. I'm a former mayor. I'm a former member of a city council. I'm an educator by profession. The people of the Central Basin Service Area number 4 elect me to represent them on the board. For the past year and a half, the current board majority, which consists of Mr. Noah Negrete, has continued to bully, harass, intimidate, and coerce me into not talking about the illegal water meter charge that was supported by your representatives on our board. Okay. An illegal tax that has been imposed on the ratepayers of all of our cities, including the citizens of the city of Santa Fe Springs. I have been talking about the PFAS and the PFAS in our water supply, which the citizens of Santa Fe Springs have also been impacted by. There are a number of municipalities that continue to deliver this water with contaminants to their citizens, and nothing is done about it. And so for that reason, the board majority, which consists of Mr. Negrete, have embarked on this campaign to harass, coerce, and intimidate me using the lawyers. There were 2 restraining orders that were filed against me. 2, they were both rejected because they had absolutely no evidence. Even after they were rejected, I came to you and I said, I need your help. This is not acceptable. My colleagues, with the support of Mr. Negrete, continued the harassment. The ratepayers of this city have spent about $500,000 paying for this litigation against me. Now that we have won, my legal bills are about $100,000. And guess who's going to pay for it? The ratepayers of your city are going to pay for it. So I hope that you do something to address this. This is only one of the issues impacting the Central Basin. You'll hear about others, including the no bid contracts that are being issued by our board members, which again consists of Mr. Noah Negrete. The contract for the general manager was changed so that you need 7 votes to fire him. 7 out of 8.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We allow 3 minutes, so thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, this has been come up a number of times, and I'm not going to just sit here quietly as someone defames my public works director who took this job because he was asked to by his professional peers. It's a appointed position, and to be hearing that he's a dishonorable person, that he's bullying individuals. As I said before, there's 2 sides to the story. There's a lawsuit. It's not appropriate for anybody here to speak on it, but I am going to speak on behalf of our city public works director, and that this campaign against him that's coming here is also not appropriate. That's their right. It's their civil right to speak, but I'm not going to let my public works director, who came to me to ask, can he take this position on, because he has a lot of other work to do, but he's representing this district honorably as best as he can with all he's doing on his plate. So he didn't have to do that, but he is. So for this to be said to him time and time again, it's unacceptable, but it's their right to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other,
Madam Mayor, next we have Janie Aguirre.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Janie Aguirre.
Thank you.
My name is Jenny Aguirre, and I've been a resident here for so many years. And there's a concern here with the lack of respect among the city council and in affecting the residents and it's also affecting your job here. I always thought this chamber here was a lack of respect, but I guess it isn't. You were elected here by the residents, and you're letting the residents down. You're not respecting the residents. There's a grapevine going on among in the city that this city is going down. It's not the same city anymore. So think about what's going on. There should be code of conduct here, but there isn't. Everything, I mean, it's a free-for-all for everybody. So maybe we should do what they do in Cerritos and other cities. Some of the council are elected just every 2 years. Think about that and think about earning your respect back from the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, we have one more speaker. It'll be via Zoom, Patricia Coates.
Thank you. Patricia? Hi, Patricia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I didn't get a chance to speak the last time regarding the business license tax, but I do want to echo everyone that has spoke this evening. You know, COVID is still not over, and businesses, I own 2 businesses in the city, so I'm going to be hit twice on this particular tax. I'm not saying that we may not be open to something, but I think this is being rushed through, kind of jammed down our throats. And I just feel that, as a couple of other people stepped up this evening and said, we need more time to take a look at this and come to a better resolution, because mistakes can and will be made, and the businesses are going to be the ones that are going to have to pay for it, and that's not fair. I've been on the chamber and been a part of the chamber for well over 15 years, and I too have volunteered and done things in the city, but if we have a cost put to us that is not reasonable, we're going to also have to lay people off. And if you're not watching the news, the media is saying that Q4 is going to be a big layoff for many, many businesses in California and across the country. So we're still not over the COVID and the shutdown. One of my businesses is essential, but we still haven't recovered. And our expenses and our costs are well over 30% in the last 6 to 7 months, not to mention all the other rising costs that we have. So I just want us to be, you know, considerate here of both small and large businesses in the community. Again, I'm not saying that there should not be something attached, but I do think that we need to come to a better solution, and I think it's going to take a little bit more time to find out what that actually is. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, that concludes our speakers.
Thank you. All right, I would like to now close public comments and move to the next item. Item number 6, housing successor agenda. We have one consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 6?
I'll move.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 7, successor agency agenda. We have one consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 7?
I move 7.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 8, city council agenda. We have 6 consent items, item A through item F. Is there a motion for the approval of the city council consent agenda?
I'll move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. New business, item number 9, resolutions numbers 9808 and 9809 pertaining to the city's general municipal election to be held Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. I would like to call upon the city clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The city of Santa Fe Springs has a municipal election scheduled for Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, for 3 seats on the city council. There are 2 proposed resolutions, resolutions number 9808, which calls the election and sets a date of November 8th, and resolution number 9809, which requests LA County Board of Supervisors to consolidate the city's general municipal election. By consolidating the election with the county, residents will be able to vote on the city, county, and state and federal matters and all on the same ballot. Therefore, tonight, we ask that you approve both resolutions to set the date of the election and allow the county to run our city's election. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes our report.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 9?
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 10, resolutions number 9813 of the City of Santa Fe Springs, California, submitting a business license tax measure to the voters at the November 8, 2022 general municipal election and taking certain related actions. I would like to call upon the city manager, Ray Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We're at this point after a long 4.5 years, and that's pretty much the tenure as a city manager that I've been here. And the first thing that I did was that we were in a $5 million deficit. I was hired to help put on a measure to deal with our $5 million structural deficit. And we, as a community, which includes the city council, staff, business community, and residents, passed the measure to save this town at a 75% rate, which was unheard of, and we are very grateful. We have a long-term relationship with the Chamber of Commerce in the business community here. And right after that first meeting, or that annual meeting that we have with the chamber, it was brought up that we were saved by the business community and by our community, but we still have long-term issues with our funding of infrastructure. And mostly due to back in 2012, that redevelopment ended, and that was $30+ million a year for infrastructure. And when I interviewed for this job and I was touring the town looked great, but the roads looked horrible. And I didn't really understand why it looked so horrible. Well, I found out, well, for 10 years, there was no infrastructure improvements, and there was only $3 million a year put in for all infrastructure, roads, parks, curb and gutter. And when you have $96 million worth of road work needed to be done, $170 million worth of other improvements to be done with regards to the parks, curb and gutter, buildings. There's no way we can make that up. And we are very grateful because we are financially sound, but we're going to crumble around us because our infrastructure is not going to be kept up. So we knew that we hit them back in 2000, the community, and they stepped up as they always do. And I wasn't here for the utility users tax. There was the other tax that was passed, the Measure Y. Okay, so and I was thinking the one before, the utility users tax. So that was being taxed, twice in this new millennium. And here we were asking for money one more time, but it was stated at every annual report with the chamber, we need money for infrastructure. It's coming. And I said that for 2 years, 3 years, then last year. And well, now it was going to come up to the 2022 election back in the beginning of 2021. And I called the chamber to get to meet to talk about the issues of our infrastructure. It's very hard to hear when you pay a lot of property taxes in this town to hear that your city gets 7 cents on the dollar. That's it. Where does the rest of it go to? The county, the state, the school districts, special districts. But we only get 7 cents on a dollar. Why? Because in Prop 13 back in 78, if you were a low property tax city, which we were, that was a good thing. We were low property taxes. You got a smaller percentage. What does the city of San Francisco get? 50 cents on a dollar. What does the city of LA get? 30 cents on a dollar. What equity is in that? They get much more, just our lot. Some cities get even lower than 7 cents on a dollar, but we're considered a low property tax city. Most people in this audience probably were shocked to hear that, but that's the truth. People say, well, we pay your roads. I pay a high gas tax. True, gas taxes are high, and especially with $6 a gallon gas. You're probably thinking, God, can we pay for that? Well, guess what? Unfortunately, it's not by roadway miles you get the money, it's per capita. We have 9 square miles, but we only have 18,000 residents. So we have a low amount of gas tax funds. Brings us between 300 and 700,000 a year, depending on how high gas rates are. Right now it's high, so we're gonna get about 700,000. When it's low, it's about 300,000. That's not gonna even pay for 1 mile of road work in this town. So that's another issue. And I've been talking to our federal and state legislators regarding that. And I said, you need to relook at how that's allocated. It's just unfair for cities like ours that has the big industrial users, a lot of trucks that are bringing in damage to our roads. Hasn't gone anywhere so far. So back in February 2001, I explained that also to the business leaders that came here, and I really appreciate, they asked a lot of good questions, and I told them this. Even they're saying, hey, what about the ARPA funding? We're hearing $20 million is going to cities all throughout the gateway cities. Again, based on per capita. We got $4 million, and we appreciate that, but that's a one-time shot. It's not going to be ongoing. And so, this council has given us some direction where they want to use it. We haven't spent it quite yet. But $4 million will get you 4 miles of road work, but we have a lot of other needs in this community. So with that stated, we went through, again, February 2021. This has not been rushed. This has not been jammed down anybody's throat. We were educating. We were meeting regularly, talking about what our needs were. And I think they understood. It took a while, but they said, yeah, I guess we do. And unfortunately, the businesses do pay the bills for this town, probably about 80% of them. However, we have 3,500 businesses, probably 50 to 100 pay all those bills. We have a very, very low business license tax. There's inequity in it. Why does a small restaurant that works their tails off with 15 employees and maybe raises $500 to $1 million a year in revenue pay the same as a law firm that has 50 employees and they make $15 million a year? Well, that's how it is right now. It doesn't matter. It's all set on employees. That is antiquated. That's backwards. And a lot of cities are changing that to gross receipts. So we were in the midst already of changing the way we did business license tax. We used to do it in-house. We've now brought it out with regards to hiring HDL. There are our sales tax consultants. They also do business license tax. We've converted that internally, and we think we're going to do a lot better efficiencies with that. But when we were addressing this issue back last July, we hired them to do a business license study because we were looking during our discussions with the businesses. Okay, you see that we have this big issue. What are your ideas? Crickets. No ideas. They tried some things, but most things were not practical. So we came up, we had an idea, so we weren't trying to be smart, but we had an idea that business license tax would be the best way. because we can't just tax trucks. It's interstate federal law. You cannot do that. There is no truck taxes. And parcel taxes is a whole other problem with that. We're going to do a parcel tax. So the business license fees were the best way. And they're not fees, they are taxes. And we haven't raised it in over 30 years. 30 years, have not touched that. And the businesses are saying they're paying their share. So with that stated, we went through our study and it was very detailed. And I think Eric's on the line. He's our consultant. Outstanding job. He went through details, brought you 6 models to consider. And a lot of them were gross receipts. Some of them had some hybrid model because a lot of our businesses that make a lot of revenue are logistics, who are building up, beating down our roads. And we came up with the 6 models and we presented to you back on April 20th. And we heard, got it up on the screen, showed all this, what was up there. And it was a big number. And going from very little, people paying less than $500 a year to seeing thousands, that's a big number. But again, when it comes to someone new doing this, paying very little and paying more, that's competitive in LA County to cities that are doing gross receipts, we're below the median. We're not the highest, we're below the median. We did that on purposely. And for also we did this a hybrid model with regards to dealing with the large warehouse buildings and logistics and manufacturing. We did what they want. They didn't want it to touch gross receipts. We came up with a model where they would pay per square foot. And we had a higher number on Model 6 in April 20, and we met with them. And they came up, we said, and you told us, staff, find yes, get to yes. And that's exactly what we did. We met with the working group, we met with some of the bigger businesses, the biggest sales tax providers, and we got a consistent model that's our fair share. We didn't jam it down anybody's throat. It's not staff's. It is exactly what this working group asked for. We didn't ask for more. There is one caveat to that, and that is the gross receipts for the average small business. The grocery store, the barber, the dentist. Right now, we're coming out of recession. We're coming out of a pandemic, going into a recession. Horrible timing, horrible timing. But recessions come, recessions go. Good times come. We just had a 12-year bull market of the stock market. We knew that wasn't gonna last forever. And we started this 4 years ago. We started this exact plan 18 months ago. Nothing rushed. And so I think the council at the last meeting said we want to look at stepping this up, and we're doing that over 4 years, so it wouldn't be all jammed down the throat. So you gave us a direction on a 5-0 vote to bring forward a resolution to do this hybrid model, and that's exactly what we have here. And it's going to bring not the $10 million we were looking for, but $7 million, a lot of money, and it's going to help deal with a lot of issues. And a lot of it's going to be roads, but it's not all going to be roads. And there was a lot of discussion about we like a special tax, but we can't have a special tax because business license tax was always a general tax. Also, special taxes, and I know this is counterintuitive, like you have one specific area, I would vote for a special tax, but when we have a great pollster, FM3, and we had Props and Measures who do these up and down the state, special taxes fail. And they fail more often, most recently. So we don't want to put something out there that's going to fail. But again, we didn't change the ball. Yes, we talked about roads, but also these businesses, a lot of them are logistics and making a lot of money, by the way, are going to state an amount that they felt they could pay. So we brought this here, we brought it, we couldn't put the ordinance together until we heard from you what you wanted. And that was the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So it wasn't like we were jamming down the throat, but we do have a deadline of next, in the year coming up. And so we got to get this on the November ballot. But we, again, met with the business people as we've been doing. And we met everybody that is on that team from HDL, from Props and Measures, from FM3, from Ivy and Mark, our legal counsel. They were meeting on their vacation. I met on my vacation yesterday because this is such an important issue. And we met yesterday and we went through all the questions they had, and there was 18. And we answered all 18. And we concurred that all 18 are good. So there's no confusion, there's no problem. But again, I'll state this with all sincerity. This is not for the staff. This is for the council, for the community. So if you want to do it, great. If you don't want to, that's your prerogative, and we're going to support that. If you want to amend it, you can do that tonight. And so we did our job. I'm very proud of this team. They worked very hard. They're the best that they are in their profession, each one of them. And I consider them the true professionals they are. And we're going to celebrate tonight if we pass it or don't pass it, because they did a good job. And if anybody says they didn't, I'll step in front of that, because that's not true. So I hope that answers questions, but we're all here. We got Eric on Zoom. We got Mark here. We got Ivy, Travis, Wayne, Noe, who did a great job on telling us they did a report. That's another thing. They want to know, what is our road needs? He did a road report that was done last August, showed him the $96 million. We recently gave him a 10-year plan. So every question was answered. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was jammed down anybody's throat. We spent the time. We would have met every day, all night if we had to. We did what we could. And so again, we brought you, 4 years ago, you asked me for this to come to your table. We're here 4 years later. It's up to you, council, what you want to do. That ends my report.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager Ray Cruz. Okay, do we have any discussion on the dais? Would anybody like to speak? Oh. Dennis, come on up and speak, please.
Thank you all very much, Mayor and City Council. Some of the comments here I think were really important. One is that we're in a government turmoil and economic turmoil. And so any sort of decision you might make today could be changed so rapidly as the economy goes up or down. So I'd encourage you to postpone this decision just for those reasons. There's another thing I'd like to ask on my own is I think the city of Santa Fe Springs changed the sales tax about 2 years ago to the highest in the state of California. Does that affect your budget? Does that help us out? And the second thing I'd like to ask is I understand that the city of Santa Fe Springs has the absolute highest per capita or total, I think it's per capita, of unfunded retirement funds that are needed for past employees. My understanding is that right now, 15.6% of our budget goes towards the retirements. Is the city doing anything to watch their budget? I know I have to do in my business. Randall does, everybody does. So watch both sides of the equation. Please postpone and let's till we get to a stable economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anybody here on the dais that would like to speak?
I have a comment. We met for this, Ray, I remember we told you and we talked to the chamber that we needed to get a tax for the road tax. And I remember we were all in agreement that we need to get the chamber involved to do a road tax. Chamber, really quick, worked with our schedules to meet with them. I remember they met with us and they sat at a big round table to meet and say, okay, let's come up with ideas. Just like you said, very true. But don't say that there was crickets, Ray, because I know for a fact chamber would meet with you, try to meet with us. They're willing to work with us. I'm not saying that they didn't come up with the right answer. I'm not saying they didn't come with any answer. But every time we need the chamber, they're there for us. I don't think there's ever been a time where they haven't been there for us. But when you say that there's crickets, I really doubt that there was crickets because I know for a fact they worked around my work schedule and I have a crazy work schedule to meet and to talk, to say, what can we do to help with the road tax? And I don't think there's a chamber that doesn't work with the city to help get more money or revenue with taxes. So, I mean, I took offense to that because I know for a fact I met with them and they would always work with our schedule. So I just, when you made that comment, Ray, I don't think that was it. And you said you came and had to work on your vacation. We signed up for this, Ray. We all work on vacations, on our lunch hours, on our breaks to make things happen. All of us do. I know we all have busy schedule, but we all do what we need to do to make our city better. So please, when you say I had to do it on my vacation, I know Ivy's been on vacation. Jay's been business. Annette's done on her work. Joanna's done it. John, we've all done what we've done around our family to make sure we get what we need with the city. So don't make it sound like you were bothered by having a day off of your vacation to make this work for us. We all do that. We all take part of our personal life to make sure we help our city out. So don't make it sound like it was just, you took a day out of your vacation to help us. We all do that here. That's what we signed up for.
Madam Mayor, if I can answer that question. Well, first of all, I didn't say crickets. They were available anytime we wanted to. It was the issue of having an answer for a revenue source. They didn't have an answer for revenue. No, they were available for everything and they did their best. So if I said that incorrectly, I apologize. And I did sign up for this. I wasn't complaining about it. I was happy to, I was doing it while I was checking out of the hotel yesterday and it was no problem. And I would have done that at any time. All I was saying is that we as a staff, we did it. You know, Travis had a stroke. We had Joy who had COVID and they were showing up the meetings. There was no badge of honor there. It was just that we were there to do it, to help it. And everybody in the chamber, if it came across that they weren't willing to meet, they were. And they were trying and they gave us information. We came up with Model 7 from their input. This is their model. And through their input, and I met with them a lot individually, and I met them in a group. And because all I was saying is that we would meet anytime. And I think they'll continue to meet with us. And one thing before this meeting, I met with Randall in the lobby and we were talking about things and how this relationship is strong. I always say the best part of my, not the best, but it's a great part of my job is the relationships I made with the chamber. I'm proud of that and I love it. And we were talking outside, no matter what happens tonight, we're gonna have a handshake and we're gonna have the annual treat here next week and we're gonna have beers over it, whatever happens. So that's good.
All right, I just wanted to say a few words too, because I know all of our businesses, we go way back. Again, as I said before, I care about each and every one of you. Again, we haven't raised our taxes, business taxes in 30 years. That's why it's such a hit. It's 30 years. At our last meeting, it was stated that we waited too long. We shouldn't continue to wait. We have to, if it were just bump by bump, yearly or whenever we have to raise fees, it wouldn't hurt so much. But because we waited 30 years, that's a big stretch right there. This is a very compassionate city. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to save our city. We're here to save everybody here. You know, recession, yes. What about the residents? If we go through a recession, it's going to hit us all. Our residents need us to make sure that we have the financial stability to make things happen here to continue. That's what leaders do. We help our industrial, and you've been helped 30 years and no increases. The 3 million annual for infrastructure, it's not enough. It's not enough to fix everything that needs to be fixed. I went down one of our streets and I fell because of the infrastructure, because of the roots coming up the street. So, you know, this is not funny. It's not something to laugh about. It's real. And I just wanted to say again, we are a compassionate city. We are a caring city. We all on the dais, we all get involved in our city, whether it be mentoring, whether it be ambassador, whether it just go out there and volunteer with the chamber, business breakfasts. For years, we've all been involved with each other. We know each other very well. We need to fix our roads, our aquatic center, our policing, we need safety, we need a fire, we need programs. What's going to happen if we don't have programs for our seniors, if we don't have programs for our youth? What is going to happen to the city? I just went to the promenade, which is, you know, it's owned by a private owner. It's a mess. It's an embarrassment. I want to go and meet the owner, and I want to talk to the owner, because our city, our residents, our industrial, we deserve better than to be going to a promenade that is supposed to be a staple in our community, and it looks like a dump. Okay, is that where we're going here? We need to do this. We need to help our city. I've been here for over 30 years. I've seen what it used to look like, and I see what it's become. Everybody on the dais has said, we need to get this done. We waited too long, and now the time has come. Ray has been working on it for 4 years. We care so much about our industrial. We care so much about our residents. And that's why it's a tough decision. It's not easy being up here. I want to make you happy, and you happy. But we have to make some tough decisions up here if we want to look toward the future, and if we want our youth to grow up to be adults in this fantastic city and actually say, this is a great city. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to raise my children. I don't want them to look at our staples in our community and say, wow, what a dump. You know, we need to get busy. We need to start working, and we need to make the city a great city. And it is, it's a great city. I love Santa Fe Springs. We all do. But let's get together. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're here to make tough decisions tonight, and it's going to work out. We're going to be okay. We all have to work together as a team. So with that said, if our council doesn't have anything else to say.
I've got a comment.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm not discounting the work that our consultants did, our city team, you know, our businesses that came together. And then also, you know, I'm going to mention the Chamber of Commerce once again. Kathy and your team, our Chamber of Commerce is like no other. You kind of, join, our business community with with our city. So there is no doubt that, we have a need for better infrastructure. I know that this started out as a truck tax, as we had mentioned, and that would have been perfect. So all the trucks and vehicles that are beating up our roads, they're the ones that should be taxed. But because of the way the laws of the land work, that's going to be, that's not a possibility. So we had to turn this into a general tax. It is a very old system. And, we could put blame on the council from 30, 40 years ago. Maybe back then the taxes did work. They were working for the longest time. But now we need more money. And I'm glad that Ray looked at this to check and see if, okay, well, where could we get it? It could be on our business license because it has not been updated in such a long time. Our city is 9% zoned for industrial, 10% residents. When it comes down to the ballots, we're going to have our residents vote and their voices will definitely be heard. The only way that our industrial residents could be heard is by coming here to the dais, by writing us a letter, by meeting with us, by doing chamber events. That's where we hear the voices of our residents, industrial residents, excuse me. And we have heard you loud and clear. We do have to do something because we do need money. Our programs will continue. Maybe not at the point that we would like them to continue because they can be better. And we could beat up our redevelopment funds that we lost them so many years ago. But we're going to continue to look for new sources. Just kind of as a side note, right during the dead of COVID, a lot of businesses did pretty good just because our city promoted buying within our own city, buy local, buy Santa Fe Springs. And that came as a great help to some of these local businesses, and they were able to stay afloat. One of the things that I'm concerned with is, the response that we had from our business community. Is this the right time to do it? We are heading to the recession. It really doesn't matter if they say, well, it's not really that bad, but we get, I think, 2 negatives in a quarter. That pretty much winds up being a recession. We are post-COVID. Everything is expensive. And the timing, it may not be right, but then when will the timing be right? I think, we've made a lot of headway from Model 1, then to 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're at 7.3 or 4 or 5. We've come a long way. And I know that we're trying to get this passed so we could actually move on and have something to count on. But my concern is, if we're going to be affecting businesses that we know for a fact are contributing tax money that help our current economy, including every single resident here, are we going to be doing a disservice by actually doing this, jumping the gun too soon? We all live here. We're residents. I'm a resident, just like everybody else here. So anything that, we decide here or, takes place at the polls, it impacts us as well. But I think this is, we have to do it. If we don't do it now, we have to do it soon, maybe in the form of a special election, but we have to come together and do it. And, we've heard from our business leaders. They are ready and willing to help, to come to some kind of agreement for us. So I think it needs a little bit more time, but I think we have to do it soon and not just kind of push it down the road. And if we could put together some kind of special election within the next couple of months, I don't know how that works, but we need to do something, but I'm not too sure about the timing. Thank you.
All right. So all those in favor?
Well, we got
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just real quick. Mark, can you explain for a special election when that would take place if we were to do a special election?
The rule for a general tax is that it needs to go on the ballot at an election at which council seats are also on the ballot. The only exception to that would be if the council were to declare an emergency by unanimous vote. So basically, unless you were to declare a fiscal emergency or some other sort of emergency by unanimous vote, your options of elections would be the election this November or the 2024 November election.
So it'll be 2 years.
Can I
mean,
say something?
Yeah.
This is a very hard decision for us, with the circumstances of the city being in need for infrastructure, roads, streets, sidewalks, curb gutters. For many years, we've lacked that of improving that also. And where do we get the money? And we always seem, the way this country runs is we tax us. Instead of looking in where we can save money, how we can spend money, we just always go to the consumers. And I think that is a model that we need to start as a city and stop taxing everybody for our concerns for our community, because that's why we saved, is it close to, Travis, 30 million in our savings that our reserve, 40?
Our general fund reserve is about 22 million.
And then 10 million for the 22 million for our general
Is
reserve.
our undesignated available reserves in the general fund.
So we made it a point to try to save for a reserve for a rainy day. So we don't have to lay off or miss use of public funds, or so we can still do events and things to that nature. And that's what we need to do. We need to look at ourselves first to make sure what money we need to go and get. Although this is something that we definitely need, but I think we need to really look at ourselves and find out, is this the best way to get the revenue from our businesses in the middle of a recession? So we do have reserves. We can always get a bond. We can do a lot of things to help our infrastructure. We don't always have to just go and tax. But if we wait 2 years for this, we can get it right. And I think the businesses will be happy because we'll know where we're at in a recession or after a recession. So for my concern is, I don't think it's the right time for us to just tax our businesses and just keep thinking that they have to bail us out. We have to start doing our own bailout first. So that's just my 2 cents, guys.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick is, we are here for the community. We're, I'm going to take Juanita's word, we're one big family. So family looks out for each other, the businesses and the residences. I just don't want to get to that Robin Hood mentality at this point. So this is why I think we should just wait just a little bit there.
Madam Mayor? We all have valid points. We understand that we are where we're at because of many reasons. It's not to blame the council from the past. It's not to blame the council from the present. It's the way we did things. It's always been like that. That's what we were always used to. We do it here in the city. We do it at home. Not until we really are hurting do we say help. And it's a good thing that we have the chamber that we do. At some point, you guys, just like kids growing up, when you turn 18 years old, you need to stop asking for help and try to see what you can do on your own. That's my personal opinion. We need it, most definitely. I've never seen chamber ever plead so much like you guys have. I'm humble enough to say we're family, we're friends. I shouldn't have to see you guys plead to save your business or see what you guys are going to do so you don't leave your family here. I hope that we could, as a council, say, let's work on this. Take it off. Let's work on this to get it, but don't wait 3 years, 4 years, 5 years for this. Let's get on it. I appreciate our staff. I appreciate Ray. I appreciate everyone doing what you guys are doing, but we need to do this together, not rush and hurry up and get it on the ballot to save us so we can have roads, more policing, more fire, more everything. We need it, yes. I just think maybe we should just sit down as a family and figure out what we can do to save all of us and to better ourselves.
I have something to say. Well, we know that, you guys are right, inflation is hitting everyone, but inflation is also hitting our city. So we're going through it too. And, and I know that when it came to the consultant, when it came to our fees that we did even for our polling, we spent over $100,000. And if we match that with our own staff, that means we just spent $200,000. And we're just pretty much going to say that we just wasted over $200,000 in taxpayer money if we don't do this. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. So that means that money that we could have utilized for, for other job positions, for a higher pay scale for some of our employees, for programming, maintaining, I mean, even street repairs. I mean, we could have just used that $200,000 there instead of waiting 15 months to actually say something. And that's the thing. I mean, we wait too long. I mean, we were already in talks about this for quite a long time. I mean, if you guys are, don't want to do this, and this is where we compromise and say, hey, if you're looking at giving an extra year at 5 years at 20%, then let's amend it and do that. And at least so we know there that we're doing something to help them out. But we have to do something no matter what. If not, the next time we do in 2 years, we're going to literally look to literally spend another $250,000, because once you do the polling, you can't do it again. I mean, you can't use the same polling. You have to do a brand new polling. And that's the money that we just wasted. So, we have to look at that. I mean, that means we're not, I mean, what are we doing with our taxpayers' money if we're not utilizing it for themselves? I mean, so I understand that this is a business deal, but I mean, we do have to look out for the residents. And I mean, I'm looking to say, hey, you guys want to do a 5-year at 20%? I know that's something that you've offered before, Mr. Sarno. So that's something you're willing to do. I mean, we have to do something. Other than that, it just looks like we're just pretty much throwing away $200,000 that, I mean, in a sense, how many times are we going to just make moves that we're just going to keep throwing money away?
I don't really think it's if you really think about it, Joy, we're finally getting the numbers. We're finally getting these numbers. We're looking at the numbers. Yeah, if we would have had these numbers a year ago or 2 years ago, we would have been working on it, but we just got these numbers. Did we waste that money? I don't think we did, because we found out, we learned something from it, and we keep learning. We spend money on other things in the city, same thing. We don't always make the proper decisions, but we need to do it to see where we're at. If what we spend that money on learning and seeing what we're going to get out of the community, out of the chamber, we know now that if we do go through this, we might lose a business that's going to give us more in taxes that year than and lose the 200,000. It's just, you got to see where it's at. You have to see where we're at, what we're learning with it, and what we got out of it. I know that if we didn't do the poll, wouldn't have the chamber here, we wouldn't see that we would have lost a couple of our businesses, that we would have made up that tax money. I just see that we can just hold off on this, not 5 years or so, but just hold off on it. Let's start working on a plan and get this done as soon as possible. So we have something within the next 2 years. We have a reserve and we can do it that way.
You also know this is also money that's going to be used not only for, we talked about our aquatic center, and that's money that we're going to utilize this money for. And, we have to look at different things that we've set that we're going to be helping out. And, what are we looking at also? I mean, that we're not going to be doing these things for the community. I mean, I understand. I mean, you guys want to, kick the bucket for 2 years, which is, I mean, everyone's own prerogative. But, like I said, if we've spent that money, we've had staff that put as much effort into this, I'm glad that the business community came out and spoke up, because that's what we want. We live in a democratic government, but we have to make the hard decisions. And that's why we're here, to make those hard decisions. No matter what, sometimes we agree to disagree to agree, and we're not always going to be on the same page. But I mean, 95% of the time when we vote, we're always voting 5-0. I mean, I think this is one of those times that, and whatever it may be, and whatever happens, we're still trying to look at and look forward. We're trying to look forward for our community. No matter what, we're trying to look forward as a whole. I mean, 25 years, 30 years, not a business license fee. I mean, it probably goes states further than that, but I'm just looking at it like, when are we gonna stop and say, hey, let's do something about it? I mean, if you guys are looking at 2 years, I mean, who's to say that they're not gonna come back in 2 years and stop it again?
I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying, Joe Angel, and, how do we look for the money? We need to be going to our assembly, our supervisors. Linda Sanchez just gave, what, $17 million to Pico Rivera for a pool? How much did we get? 0. We need to start doing our jobs, and I hate using this word, but start being political with the state. Start going after our money that we deserve, and that's what we don't do. We go to the businesses to tax them because it's easier. So we need to start doing the job that, Joe Angel, you are probably one of the best people up here for the politics. Not because you're good at it. You get involved. You know a lot of the legislation that goes on in and out. We look to you in that manner for this. But we need to go after them to get our money. We can't keep going after our businesses to tell them when we're in need to tax something. We can't just keep taxing. We've taxed 3 times. It'll be 3 times in less than 10 years. When is enough going to be enough? So my thing is, let's exhaust all of our ways of getting money. And in 2 years, let's bring it regardless.
Well, Jay, when it comes to the reserve, when I first walked into this store, when it came into council, I know that was something I pushed, heavily. And I asked you, hey, we need to pump up our reserves because we might come to a day, you know what I mean? And during COVID, we were able to not let any of our employees go. I know Mr. Moore helped out with that and pushing for the reserves because, it's something that, we did, you know what I mean? Because we have to stack those things up. And this is where we have to make these decisions. And, either way, I mean, we have to come to some kind of solution. I mean, whether or not you guys, are in favor, it sounds like you're not, but who's to say we can't put something on the ballot now that maybe doesn't tax for the first 2 years? Okay, then, but it does tax after that. We have to do something so it lets them know that either way, we have something that we put in motion. And, if you guys don't want to do it, so then at least we don't have to do another, spend another month, this money again, because, how often do you get a 50% plus one to try to get the approval rating? I mean, so if you don't want to tax now and we give leniency for the first 2 years, but let's just put it on the ballot now where it's still taxes, so we don't even have to come to that fight, when that comes. And then we're going to be at odds ends because everybody's going to get their feelings hurt, whether it be ourselves or whether it be the business community. But we have to do something that we can dictate that we need these monies for our community, no matter what.
So I have a question, Mark. I have a question. So what Councilman Zamora said, not putting it on the ballot, but not collecting any tax for the first 2 years. And let's say the recession is deeper than what it is. Could we still skip another year do we have the ability to not tax?
Yes, whatever tax you put on the ballot is essentially setting a cap on the amount you can tax. You can always adopt an ordinance which temporarily reduces the rate. So.
And we can adjust.
We can adjust
every year,
Just
depending on
never
the.
have it higher than the voters approved.
That is something that I think I would be okay with, not doing the first 2 years, seeing where our recession is. And in turn, every year after that, we can determine the max would be what we vote for, but then we can adjust it based on the circumstances of the situation of the city and the businesses.
Okay.
Mayor and council, just for clarification, you would keep your existing structure.
Yes.
And then in 2 years, the new one would come in.
But we can adjust it to whatever levels. If we know that we're in a recession still, we can adjust it to whatever. We can't go over that amount, but we can adjust it to
Correct.
nothing again or we can go forward.
You can always, yes, you can always adopt an ordinance to adjust it as long as you don't exceed it.
I have a question for maybe some of the businesses. Does that sound something that you guys can live with for, 2 years that not having or?
I see 3 or 4 already shaking their head no, so.
Yeah.
Well, we have to do something.
Well,
No, we can't talk.
Madam
You have to come
Mayor,
up
do you
here.
want to reopen public comment?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on up here, Wendy.
I'm speaking for myself and maybe a few of us. I think our concern would be if you were to do that and in 2 years, the council has changed and none of the 5 of you are up here. And now we have a totally different anti-business council. It could not, we're just subject to the whims of a future council that we don't know. We know the 5 of you. And that would be my concern with it.
I had just opened public comments. Would anyone else like to speak?
My fear would be, as we're going into this recession right now, and I lived through the last recession, it was quite a bit longer than 2 years. And then on the heels of what Wendy just said, if you're all gone and somebody comes in and says, ring the bell, we're just going to do it up, then what? We need something consistent today, maybe in the next 2, 3, 4 months, figure this out, and then go forward.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to make sure to clarify what was stated there. 3 or 4 months, we can't put this on the ballot to November 2022. We have 1 week. So if you want to do something later, you heard 2 years. If you want to defer it, you have those options, but there is no option there that we can go beyond.
There's no options for 2
no-
months.
Yes.
Right. Would you like to speak? Sure, state your name.
Mary Venegas. We have a business here in Santa Fe Springs. You brought up a good point, Zamora, that, yeah, you're right. You did all this work. You guys need the money and not to do anything. And you're right. Nobody wants to pay more ever. I don't want to pay more today, tomorrow, or the next day. But I understand the point where we need the money. I think you brought up a good point, Jay, that we should look outside because it's in California, have a surplus, like billions of dollars. Can we, and that's our tax dollars. They take it and they sit on it. I mean, why do they take so much? That's a whole other point. Could we get that money? And you're right. This is an old system, 30 years. You're right. You should have done something a long time ago. You probably should do it now. Our problem is like my tax is going to go from 300 to like 11,000. That's huge. Could we afford it? Yeah, I guess we could, but I know some companies, it's going to go up way more, right? Hundreds of thousands. So I just think that it should be maybe just not so much all at once, but I think we probably have to do something now because we're not going to want it later either. We're just not going to want it. I
Yeah,
never
who
want to
is?
pay more. Why would I want to ever? But the thing is, well, fair, that's all relative, right? What you think is fair. My big thing is your expenses. Are we looking at our expenses? I know there's a lot of salaries. People make a lot of money, their retirements and, like retirement firemen, don't they retire at 55 and they still get most of their pay? You know what? It's crazy. Our police chief makes like $400,000 or $500,000. I mean, you guys make more than the president. And I'm talking all whoever, I don't care. No, but I'm talking about his package. Yes, they make a lot of money. I looked it up online. I live in Whittier. I looked it up in Whittier. How do these people make in their compensation packages $400,000? That's my money, So I think something has to be done. I think we have to stop kicking the bucket. It's just such a big thing. You guys waited so long. So maybe we do it over 5 years, maybe 20, whatever it is, but I'm not going to want to do it in 2 years either. So I don't know, just to be honest.
All right, well, let's make a directive.
Madam Mayor, we also have one speaker via Zoom. Would you like to allow them to speak?
Yes, yes.
name is Chris Peeler.
Hello, Chris, are you there?
Yeah, hello, good evening. Yeah, I had to unmute my phone. Good evening, everyone. I'm just curious. I actually sent some emails out. I don't understand why we can't do a modified version of the increasing the business license taxes, but at the same time do a special tax that is dedicated to the roads and infrastructure. I mean, we hear urban, roads and infrastructure, but we all know if this goes to the general fund, some of that money will get diluted. So if we want to increase the business license taxes, because it hasn't been done in 30 years, let's do that. But let's do a modified amount and then have a special tax that is dedicated to the infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
No matter what.
Sure, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. I think there's some good dialogue here, and I've been involved with the city and the chamber for over 40 years, and I think you learned a lot. I mean, I know Councilman Zamora mentioned the loss of $200,000. I think what we did is we learned a lot, and we learned a lot about what other cities are charging, what really the impact is on the community. So I think that there's a great value in what you've learned from what you've done. And I think going forward, we spent so much time to try to attract businesses to this community. I mean, 40 years of trying to find and retain businesses, and you just got to be very careful to maintain that balance and that relationship between the business community and the city. And I think there is an urgency, and I know that Ray and his team has done a great job communicating with the chamber staff. And it's just everybody's time is so, fleeting. So it's challenging to get it all together. But I think we've learned a lot in the last 12, 14 months to try to maintain this relationship. And I think it's important that you don't jump too quick. And again, a lot of these people are in this community are here because a great relationship. And there's a lot of people here that have put a lot of money and time into your community, volunteering time with your kids and helping out a lot of people. So our relationship is far beyond just a business relationship. And I know the council's spent a lot of time trying to develop that. So again, I'm not pushing it any direction. I'm just saying it's a very sensitive relationship and you just got to be very careful to maintain it and keep it. And we really value what the city's been able to do and the contributions you've given to us to get involved in this. And you didn't have to. And we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we close public comments? Sure.
Yeah, I think this has been a healthy dialogue. When you have the money, available, you're gonna spend it. Okay, you guys have $7 million available to you. I guarantee you, within a couple of years, you're going to be using all the dollars. So the staff is going to change, and my recommendation is if you're going to do that, I think the business community would rather see more certainty so they can plan their future and not be at the whim of any politics at all. So it would be my recommendation to potentially take the tax and cut it in half. And if we're going to do something, you want to do it now. Instead of doing 10 cents, maybe do 5 cents, and you cut the gross receipts tax in half, so that there's certainty for the businesses, as opposed to having it be an open-ended blank check. Because I guarantee you, that's as good as gone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public.
You want to say something?
I think you would have to close public comments.
Okay, I am now going to close public comments.
So what if we look at the first 2 years, 10%? So we can do a staggered system of 6 years. So 10, 10, 20, 20, 20, 20.
I think that's a great idea of maybe cutting it in half.
Because at least here, this is a system where you're going to at least know how much is being increased every year. So we're not, toying with what we did. We're just pretty much extending it. So even if you wanted to do a 10, 10, 20, 20, 20, and on the last one, instead of doing a 20, you can do a 10, 10 again. So then at least that's 8 years across, that they know that every year it's going to be going up. It's a staggered system, and at least we did something. And when they say we're getting 7 million, we're not getting 7 million. This first one initial that we talked about that we all agreed on was at 1.5 we were going to get. Yeah, 1.5 each year. So at least now we're not going to be seeing the 1.5, but at least we're getting back some of our money, that, and whether it be inflation, we're going to be under the market at 10%, but still, at least we're doing something, and at least it'll be 8 years. If you want to do 8 years, it'll be 10, 10, 3 years of 20, and then 10, 10 at the end.
I'd like to
But-
hear from every council member.
Well, but if we're gonna do this over a course of what, 8 years? And if we have, if we work together, we got 2 years to put something in place that's gonna be there for many more years to come. So instead of doing just increments and then do it over the course of 8 years, how about in 2 years, we come up with some kind of resolution, put it on the ballot, and then that'll be it. But like, you had mentioned, we're not gonna just wait on this one and wait 1 or 2 years to do it. Let's start forming committees and groups now. So then maybe every quarter for the next 2 years, we come up with a decision to have something solid on the ballot.
Yeah, but you also heard them say that they would fight against it again in 2 years. So, how does that help?
I don't
us?
think I said they would fight it.
Or just,
No, they didn't say they would fight. I think, I don't know.
well, maybe they wouldn't, they're not going to go against,
Well,
they're going to go
correct me if
against
I'm wrong, I
it.
think you're just kidding that nobody wants to pay for anything. I don't want to pay for anything either. I think that's what, yeah. And then also as far as like the money spent, I kind of agree. And Mike, you brought up a good point. Yeah, $200,000 went towards this. And again, I can't stop my appreciation to the staff that put this together. But now we know what our taxes are in our surrounding city, where we should be, because now we know that we do need to move forward. So if you really look at it, 30 years, there's only $6,000 a year, so we didn't do too bad. But we do have to come up with a solution that we do have to do.
How do you feel about this plan, Juanita?
I feel like we're getting rushed. We're changing the numbers back and forth. And I think, in fairness to us, what our numbers are going to be, I think the businesses, what their numbers are going to be, I think we're getting rushed. I know it has to be done. No question asked. They know it has to be done. We have to do it. But I just feel like these numbers are jumping around, and I feel I just can't right now. I
Ray,
just
how
not
much
with all
time do we
over.
have before we need to make a solid decision?
We need to have this, some resolution, if you amend it, it says summary by the 9th of August, 1 week. We have 1 week before you can vote for this.
Yes, let's have another special meeting and come up with another alternative. We can have we can have another study session the way we've been having. We got to make a decision.
You can do, you can vote tonight. You can give us direction to work with the Chamber Working Group one more time with some potential solutions. Or you can amend a rainbow of ways, but it just has to be done by next Tuesday.
That's what I'm hearing right here, is that we would like to, we need a little more time, but we have to make a decision, council. We have to make a decision.
How are we going to make a decision in a matter of 5 days?
Yeah, I do want to put a caveat here because Mark is our legal counsel that has to put together the ordinance and the resolution. So you can't just say something and it happens automatically. It has to go through a review process and that takes time. So I shouldn't say that. I should ask Mark, if they make what changes, how much time do you need for it to be voted by next Tuesday night?
It depends on what kind of changes are being requested. If we're just changing the phase-in period, then that won't take very long to draft. And that sounds like what's being talked about. More complicated things would take more time.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments about this? Okay, so we,
Madam Mayor and Council, we're just going to need clear direction or consensus. If somebody wants to make a motion for tonight, either way, that is your prerogative. If you want to give direction on it to come back, we just need clear direction on what you want so we can bring the right thing back to you.
well, they have some alternatives. I heard, from what I was hearing is Mayor Pro Tem Zamora and Councilmember Sarno had some other options that they have in mind. So rather than make a decision right now and vote on this, I think that we should come back soon. Today's Tuesday. We have to come back soon and make a decision. We can't keep, as everyone's saying, we can't keep kicking the can. We got to do this soon.
So, but do you guys want to try to make a difference in where this is going? Like, is this model where we want to be at, or do you want to try to change it, or what do you guys want to do? Because that's what we're talking. We're talking about numbers changing and things to that nature. Do you want to wait till Tuesday to make that decision, or do you guys want to make a decision tonight? That's what you guys.
You brought a good point. Why aren't we going after our legislative first? Let's go after them first. And since we're right now on a positive, let's do that. Let's see what we can do from there. Then go back with the chamber. That's my personal opinion. That's what I would like to do, and just take it off and figure out what we're going to do with our legislative and see, like I said, Pico Rivera, Bellflower, Bell Gardens. There's so much money out there for us. Why aren't we reaching out for them too first?
We are reaching out to them.
Actually, I met with Linda Sanchez and she was very upset that there's so much money there that we don't go after, that she does have money for us.
Well, I've heard
Yeah.
different, but we are reaching out to every legislature
I
for
just feel
for our
bad that our
aquatic
city,
center.
that we all want the best for our city.
We
and
all
aren't
do,
getting
yes.
any money from our Senate, from our Congress. We're not getting any monies from them. We need to work harder at getting that monies from them.
All right, let's make a motion. Come on, guys. What do you guys want to do? All right, I'll move to take it off the ballot.
I'll second it. We can't come up to a decision and we're rushed. We can't make up a decision.
Go ahead, John.
That's already a motion and second.
Okay.
We have to vote on it.
So the motion
Motion was
made
to
by
remove it.
Councilmember Sarno was to not adopt resolution number 9813 to place the tax measure on the ballot, seconded by Councilmember Martin.
Oh, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
All
I
right,
think we should do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Sarno,
all right.
Mayor Pro Tem Zamora,
Nay.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Nay.
Can I make a comment? Maybe we can, since we do want this done, can we come up with somehow to go to Sacramento, have our meetings and push it as much as we can to see what we can get out of them and not get a no out of our stuff, Sanchez? Can we
That
work
would be
on
a
something like that?
separate.
No, I
item.
know, but I'm just saying as a comment for us to do that.
All right.
Excited.
What item are we on? Okay. All right, item number 11, consideration of amendment number 2 to the agreement with Sagecrest Planning and Environmental Incorporating their 2022 fee schedule for as-needed planning services. I would like to call upon Director of Planning, Wayne Morrell.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So item 11 is a request to amend the existing contract with Sagecrest for as-needed planning services. Since 2015, we've retained the services of a senior planner at a 2016 rate. The request is to accept the new proposal at the current rate. Now, there is a difference between the 2015 rate, which is $75 an hour, and the current rate, which is $145 an hour. However, staff has done the research and has looked at other cities, and that rate is
in line with what they are requesting. Are there any questions?
No, no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
I'll move.
Oh, all right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 12, appropriation of funds from Cities Art Public Places Fund for Cities Art Education Grant Program for fiscal year 2022, 2023. I would like to call on Family and Human Services Manager Eddie Ramirez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Each year at this time, schools and community organizations I have the opportunity to submit applications for the city's art education grant program. The Heritage Arts Advisory Committee, who are appointed by council, review and submit these recommended applications for city council's approval. Since its inception, the art grant program has enriched thousands of lives of local students and community residents to allow them to nurture their creativity and their individual expression. This year, there were a total of 27 applications submitted, totaling $70,311.54. I think this was probably the highest that we've ever received ever since its inception. The Heritage Arts Advisory Committee reviewed all 27 applications on July 26th, and they were recommending that funding of 20 grants be totaling $49,539.06. The maximum amount that's allowed is $50,000 and budgeted within the art fund. There is sufficient funds available in the public art fund. It's established to developer fees. There is no general fund monies that are used to provide these grants. And this evening, our staff's recommendation is to approve the appropriation of funds for the art grants under the public art fund and authorize the distribution of monies recommended by the advisory to the schools for this fiscal year 2022-2023. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have a question, if I can. Well, two questions. How come the city of Santa Fe Springs is taking money out for programs, the Chalk It Out and the digital art for teens, which equates to $9,447. But then when schools, we say funding is exhausted. So why wouldn't these just come out of our general fund or our budget for Parks and Rec or for something? And why would we not give the money to the schools?
So this year, there was a request by members of the advisory to have these particular programs submitted. Out of the respect of the advisory, we did submit those applications.
Well, I would
And that was
much
the
rather see our schools get the money and let it come out of our general funds than take away from a school. When this should be a program that the city should put on no matter what. And we're taking $9,447 away from our schools, and we can give that money back to, what is it, 3 schools that I think totaled out to a little over 12,000. So I would rather see those 3 schools get all what they asked for and then just put that money into the general fund, whatever for the chalk block and the digital art.
Too late to do that.
No, you're actually making
Going right now.
the approval this evening, so you could make any amendments if you wish to the submitted report.
To the school instead of our own programs, like just giving our money right back.
Well, as long as our programs are going to continue.
Yeah.
Well, so I know that one of the programs, I think, was an addition. One of the programs does exist. We definitely could look. I could speak with my colleague to see where we could continue with the one program. I know the Chalk It Out is a program that is part they wanted to enhance. I think the additional program, Marisa, they may want to interject, was a request to increase the art exposure.
Yeah, on the digital art 101 things, we can go ahead and move forward with general fund and just do with mid-year adjustment.
Okay. So I'll move to, with the changes of making the the schools that say funded exhausted due to large number. I'd rather put those into this budget and then put the chalk it out and the digital art to our general fund or to the budget for Parks and Rec.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 13. Oh, thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Item number 13, purchase of one new aerial truck from M&M Lifts. I would like to call on Director of Purchasing, Paul Martinez. Hi, hello, Paul.
Hello, good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. You may recall I brought this item to you at the June 21st meeting. I erred in that report in that I did not calculate tax into the winning bid, which would have changed the bid results. The decision was made to rebid this vehicle request. Before you are those bid results, including tax. The recommendation is to rescind the action taken by council on June 21st for this purchase and accept the bids before you, awarding this order to M&M Lifts, Inc. Do you have any questions on item 13?
I think M&M is very happy.
Probably so.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Thank you, Paul. And presentations, item number 14, introduction of city manager's newly hired communication specialist, Lorian Batista.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we're very, very happy to be making this announcement tonight, but just wanted to give a little background. You may remember during fiscal year 21-22, that I wanted to develop a community engagement unit. This was, social media was all in community services and they did a great job, but they were doing it kind of remotely from community services and representing the entire city. They thought that needed to be in our office, city manager's office, city council office. And so we did that. And I think Marcelo Valderas we shared the position for about 6 months. That really wasn't working well. So Marcelo again allowed her to come to us full time, and it was going to start in January of this year. But that employee had an opportunity to leave another city, so we had an opening. And with that opening, we had an opportunity to change the title. It was really not appropriately titled, and we wanted to create a brand new position, and the council allowed us to do that. We made a new job spec, calling it communications specialist, and we went through the recruitment process. You asked for it to be fast-tracked. Want to thank Travis and Debbie and the whole staff in HR for fast-tracking it. It may not seem it was fast-tracked, but it was fast-tracked. And it had to get her through the final approval steps through the physical and drug tests and all of that and the background checks. And we do have a candidate, and her name is Lorian Batista, coming from the city of Paramount. And she's a local resident, lives in the villages. And so I'm going to bring up now Municipal Affairs Manager, Maribel Garcia, who supervises that unit.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I want to introduce to you this evening our new communication specialist, Lorian Bautista. Like Ray mentioned, she comes to us from the city of Paramount, where she spent 7 years of her professional career as their graphic designer and social media coordinator. While working for the city, she launched their social media platforms and helped grow their following to over 10,000 people. She worked closely with the Chamber of Commerce, creating content around local businesses, and her love for art led her to participate in the city's public art program, where she created a documentary series on local artists and murals. Lorian graduated from Cal State Long Beach in 2011 with a bachelor's in studio art and is currently pursuing a digital communications and marketing certification at UCI. As a Santa Fe Springs resident for almost 10 years, she's excited to bring fresh, new ideas to the forefront as we grow our community engagement strategy. With her collaborative spirit, she hopes to work with city officials, employees, and local businesses to showcase why Santa Fe Springs is a great place to live, work, and play. In her spare time, Lorian loves to paint, go to concerts, and travel. And again, I'd like to welcome Lorian to our team. Thank you.
Lorian, did you want to say something? And first of all, we'd like to welcome you. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to having you as our staff, and just welcome aboard. Thank
so
you.
much. And honestly, I'm really excited to be working with you all. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things that are going to happen to the city, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we're on to 14B, Proclamation in Honor of Americans Disability Act Month. I would like to call upon Lee Squire to accept the proclamation. We're going to have our city clerk read the proclamation. Did you want to come up here?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas 32 years ago, on July 26, 1990, our nation passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. Whereas the ADA was the first comprehensive civil rights law prohibiting discrimination against individuals with disabilities and guarantees equal opportunity in public accommodations, employment, transportation, and many other areas. And now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Santa Fe Springs does hereby recognize July as the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Thank you.
Mr. Lee Squire, we'd like to thank you for your service and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. All right, item number 15, city managers and executive team reports. I would like to call upon our city manager, Ray Cruz.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and council members. Sorry, I don't have a slide. Didn't have time to get that done. I just got back to work literally at 5:30 today. But I did want to mention that the Contract Cities Association City Managers Group are starting to meet at Geezers, which is great. They're coming to our town, bringing city managers from the county. And this presentation this past week, last Thursday, was LA County Sheriff were there with their medical evaluation teams called the MET teams. And it's just showing that more and more responses to police calls are dealing with mental illness and how it's difficult for officers to really to deal with that. And so when there's a 5150 hold and the officers involved, that can keep them out of the field for 6 to 8 hours. So they're trying to get more medical evaluation teams to have them have it more appropriately taken care of. And they had the whole unit was there at Geezers, and they did a fantastic presentation talking about how they have 30 teams right now. They're trying to get 60, and they actually were asking the city managers and the city councils to see if they can be doubled to 60. The board of supervisors promised them 60 when they started, but they didn't give them the 60. They only have 30, and they're like stretched, and they can wait hours and hours to get that help. And so I told the group that I would help, and hopefully we can get council to help, talking to our local supervisor, Han, because there's a great need for that. And although we're an incorporated city, the MET teams are available to Whittier PD. I see her shaking that's true. But again, probably not enough out there to get them out. So if they could double, I think triple, we can really help people. That's how you keep away from police-induced shootings. There are a number of people who are mentally ill who want to be shot by a police officer. That's kind of they call it a suicide by cop. It's horrible to think, but they deal with that daily. Anyways, it was great. And then afterwards, they had this trailer that was parked there at Geezer parking lot that showed different types of mental health scenarios. It was a projector screen, and they showed a autistic adult in a park near a playground looking kind of just, not right. And they showed you as a police officer with a gun approaching them, how do you deal with it? And they're making different moves, and all he was autistic, but you couldn't tell if he had some of the problems. And so again, they're trying to show you making quick decisions. One job I would never be is a police officer, give them all the respect for that. They also had scenarios of how dealing with seniors who have dementia, who get out and released, and how to deal with them. They can get themselves in trouble. And then they had a whole section on active shooters, and I actually did an active shooting exercise. Again, not want to be in that position. I asked Chief Haber to come in with me to be a team member, but he denied it because I protect people. I fix them. I don't protect them. So we went through that. But anyways, I wish I would have had pictures. I did take pictures. Maybe I'll show them next time because it was really well worth it. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Director of Public Works, Noe Negbete.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Just a couple of two projects I want to give an update on, and then two other events. So the first one, we don't have a slide for it, but just want you to know that we started work over at Santa Fe Springs Park parking lot. I didn't want to show you the pictures because mainly what's going on is demolition and mobilization and clearing and grubbing. So there's really not nice pictures to look at, but they have started. They have cordoned off that portion of the park where the parking lot's going to be expanded with fencing to keep the public out. So we're pretty excited on starting that project. A project that it's much closer to completion is over at Heritage Park. And I'll go backward before I show you the picture from early this morning. If you recall, we had bid this project out to try to restore that boxcar and try to maintain as much of the existing wood that we could. And on the left-hand side, you can see when we came back for the change order that we were not able to salvage any of that existing wood. So as you can see, they put in the shell of that boxcar. And as of last week, kind of hiding it there behind this one, but the exterior has been completed. All the hinges and doors have been put back on, the ladders. And actually early this morning, they were actually able to prime that as well. So you can see it's a white prime. They'll finish painting it. We'll do the punch list and then we'll bring that for final payment. And then once that's completed, we'll turn that back over to the Heritage Arts Advisory Committee to select the artist to put the mural back on that boxcar. So that'll be completing all the projects at the depot. If you remember, we painted the locomotive and the caboose and that coal car, and this boxcar was the last of that exhibit to get done. And then I had the pleasure of speaking to Lake Center Middle School students at the summer session. It was recently completed 6th graders. I was surprised by how many of them were there in summer school. And there was actually a special ed class as part of this. And their focus has been on engineering. So the whole plan process has been their focus. So they asked me to come be a guest speaker. I was very excited, talked to them just about engineering, but also about just the benefits of higher education. Really stressed to them critical thinking and how engineering plays a role in their daily lives. Got them to interact and come up and answer questions. I was very impressed with a lot of their answers, and I told the teachers that they were very well prepared. And on a personal note, I got very interesting. The person that introduced me, the teacher, 7th grade history teacher, Mr. Vancini. I hadn't seen him in 25 years. He was a boyhood friend. And he actually walked me into the NPR room for 10 minutes, and we had no clue that we knew each other until he introduced me, and he walked in, and I kind of made eye contact with him. And I was like, "Hey, Ruben, is that you?" And, you know, it's kind of funny. Hadn't seen him in 25 years, so we got a chance to reconnect. And for the past 17 years, we worked, you know, less than half a mile from each other, and didn't realize that. And then just lastly, there was some comments made in public comment today. I'll be careful what I say because there's some pending litigation still ongoing. But I do serve as a board member at Central Basin Water District. I am trying to do good governance at an agency that has historically not exhibited good governance, and not everybody's happy with that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Noe. Director of Planning, Wayne Morrell.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Mayor, one and Council, one item today. Just want to remind everyone of the groundbreaking ceremony that will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, August the 3rd, beginning at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is the groundbreaking ceremony for the Whole Child. They are building a 19-unit interim housing and supportive service center. Hopefully, everyone have made their reservation, and they will be there. One of the interesting thing, and I know I mentioned this before, but I think it's important to note that This is the only such facility in the region. And the reason being is that you have homeless facilities for men, or your homeless facility for women or women and children, but never is there a combination for families. It just doesn't happen. It's either one or the other. So this is really a good proposal where you'll have a family together where all of the services will be provided. And again, this is for homeless families. So hopefully everyone will be there tomorrow. Thank you. Oh, one last thing real quick. I would really like to thank Public Works and Police Services for their help in posting the site, no parking, cleaning up the perimeter, because I don't know if any of you have been out there, but it can be quite challenging just walking in that area. There's quite a number of homeless people, and I won't even describe what happens in that area. So I would definitively like to thank Public Works and Police Services for their help on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. But one thing I want to mention there, because this council directed it, this is a veterans homeless location first for City of Santa Fe Springs, veterans families that find themselves homeless. That is the priority one, then homeless families from Santa Fe Springs, and then we serve the Gateway Cities region for veterans first, then the families. So that wasn't in this flyer. I pointed it out to their executive director, but that's something that was directed by this council. I want to make sure that's not understated like it's been so far. Thank you. And then now I'd like to bring up Dino Torres, Director of Police Service.
Thank you, Ray. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item will be the Safe Neighborhood Team Community Block Party we had on July 23rd. So I want to thank the residents that showed up. Council members were there. It's a great program. Everyone coming together for a safe neighborhood. So that was well attended, and thank you very much. The next thing is National Night Out. National Night Out will be celebrated on this Friday, Friday, August 5th, and it'll be between 7 and 9 p.m. over at Heritage Park. We're collaborating with Community Services. It's their last summer concert, it's a mariachi concert. And so we'll be there. We'll have fire department there. Obviously the Whittier Police Department, members of the Police Services Center Public Safety Team, and we have several outside agencies that are going to be there. And so this is an important time so that people can come together, and it's an important concert. It's probably the biggest concert, well attended. And so we decided to have it on that day. So we hope to see everyone there. Raylene just passed out a couple of the goodie bags to the council. And so I hope you enjoy. There's apples, oranges, and bananas in there. What's that? No, it's a joke. It's my attempt at a joke, but you'll see the opposite in there. Thank you. Next slide, please. Catalytic converter etching event. This will be our first one. We hope to have more. We hope to have it well attended. It'll be on Saturday, August 13th. So in 2 weeks, it'll be from 8 to 12, and it'll be in our Soaring Dreams Plaza. Again, we're going to collaborate with Public Works, the mechanics. They'll be etching the catalytic converters. You can sign up for a spot. You can contact the Police Services Center Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, and we're closed on alternate Fridays. So this is an event that we've been looking forward to. I hope we have more of these, and we will. And we look forward to it. Thank you.
Can you bring it, Torrance? I got my catalytic converter stolen out of my Prius.
It's only for residents, so.
Oh, man.
No,
I need to
sorry.
move. I need to move to Santa Fe Springs.
Yes, yes, you do. We have a lot of good programs here. So thank you.
All right. At this time, I'd like to bring up Fire Chief Brent Hayward.
Thank you, Ray, Madam Mayor and Council, and everybody in the audience. Good evening. Just wanted to give a couple of quick updates on some fires that are occurring up north and our interaction on those. If I could get the first slide, please. The Oak Fire in Mariposa County is been going for about a week now. It's very close to Yosemite National Park, so a lot of resources have been asked for on that incident. It's at 19,000 acres. Captain Mike Glaze, one of our arson investigators and senior captains, was requested by Cal OES to operate as a public information officer up there. He's certified in PIO training, and he's up there as a trainee right now. And those are skills that he can bring back to us in our region. So he's up there for up to 21 days. Next slide. The McKinney fire just broke out a couple of days ago. Captain Glaze was redispatched to that. And then we also had a resource request for a fire line paramedic. And that is going to be covered by firefighter paramedic Mike Palacios. He just left yesterday. That fire is at 55,000 acres and it's 0% contained at this point. Good news, bad news. There's a few fires. They're mostly up north. They're kind of lightning strike driven. This is the second major event of the summer. So it's a little bit of a late start for what they call the Northern California fires. And then as things kind of dry out down here towards the end of the summer, we start moving into the Southern California fire season. So the fire predictability models are pretty severe, but so far so good. Things have been knocked down pretty quickly, and we hope to have those guys back very soon. Next slide. We talk about budgets, we talk about grants, we talk about a lot of other stuff in the department and things that we can do to help the general fund and the costs that are incurred by municipalities. Our department's just finishing up and has closed out and forgive me, the numbers are always about 3 years off because they're 3-year programs, but we just finished up the 2019 State Homeland Security Grant Program, or the SHUSH-GAP grant. For that year, within the year that we do it, and it's last year, we claimed about $299,000 worth of expenses that associated with our hazmat team equipment, urban search and rescue team equipment, specialty training for our staff and personnel, and some selected monitors that needed to be replaced on our hazmat rig. So that we're just finishing up. Next slide. The better news is we pled our case and we were able to justify getting about almost $800,000 in grant funding that we're going to expend between now and March 31st of next year. A lot of that money is going to go towards replacement of equipment that we've had on both the USAR and the hazmat rig that needs to be replaced. Some of the monitors are very, very expensive to do the jobs that we do and mitigate the problems that are out there in the areas. Also to pay for hazmat and urban search and rescue training that we do. Each and every one of our firefighters are all state certified hazmat specialists, which is very unique. Not any other department is like that in our region. Most are technicians, but we are at hazmat specialist level because of the team that we carry and the equipment that we carry. So this funding from the state through the county that starts at FEMA greatly benefits the department. So I just wanted to give the council an update on that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Now, Director of Finance, Travis Hickey.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Just one quick item. On July 20th, CalPERS announced their rate of return for the fiscal year 21-22 was a negative 6.1%. We've talked about the city's relationship with CalPERS, and their target return each year was 7%. It's now 6.8%. So last year, 6/30/21 was a positive 21%. So basically, this has negated all of those gains we had last fiscal year. We're estimating the impact from this loss to be about $34.6 million that will be added to our unfunded liability. Last year, we were looking at $31.5 million reducing our unfunded liability. So basically, this loss is negating those gains from last year. So just wanted to provide the council that update. Thank you.
And Travis, thank you for that. So that's $31 million. And so we have another bear market. If we have another 6% loss, that is $31 million of revenue we don't have, but to figure out. So Measure Y, yes, paid for a lot of things, and it did also pay for pensions. And it's a 7-year build that it's going up, regardless how the market's doing, it's going up. And then when there's a market downturn, that makes things bad, very bad. Nothing that this council did, nothing that the staff did. This was a decision made in 1999, 2000, when we were so-called super funded. And they started changing the formulas. And that's what started all these problems throughout the state of California. So we talked about finances tonight, $31 million hit. We have, and it's very likely we'll have another bad year. That could be a $31 million we're going to owe. So just wanted to make that point. At this time, Maricela Barderas,
Thank you,
Director
Mayor.
of Community Services. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council and audience. I want to start off with our Parks and Recreation Month celebration. On Thursday, July the 21st, staff held a community celebration of Parks and Recreation Month at Los Nietos Park. Our residents enjoyed hot dogs, games, arts and crafts, snow cones, and an extended time at the wading pool. I just want to thank our Parks and Rec staff that put the event together. They did an outstanding job. Next, this Friday, as Dino mentioned, is on August 5th, is our final concert of the summer concert and movie series at Heritage Park. The concert is going to feature Las Colibre Mariachi. It's an award-winning all-female mariachi ensemble. The concert starts at 7 p.m. And again, Police Services is going to be joining us and will be hosting their national night out that same evening. Next, we have on Friday, July the 29th, the annual Grandparent and Me Day event took place at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. Our grandparents, they spent an afternoon with their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. They enjoyed an afternoon of games, played a variety of games, had tasty snacks, and they watched a magic show. The participants were able to redeem their tickets and they won by playing the different games and to win prizes. We had over 85 participants that were in attendance. I want to thank our volunteers for assisting staff at the event and Mayor Rodriguez and Councilmember Mora for attending the event. Here's a recap video of the event.
I've been waiting all my life for something. I've been down the darkest roads and up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the sky. Oh, there's nothing missing now that you're my desire. Now all I have to do is to make you mine. 'Cause I know, and you know what we could be. Like a song, like a perfect melody. Baby, don't say you don't believe in me. 'Cause you know, and I know, we're onto something good. You know, and I know, we got something good. I've been waiting for the one forever. Finally, I got you.
And then the last item I have is our library. They wrapped up its summer reading program last Saturday, July the 30th, with a performance from Bubble Mania. We had over 500 children and families attend our live programming over the summer, which included musical performers, magicians, and live animal shows. We also had over 130 participants in our reading games, and staff gave out 175 free Reading is Fundamental books at all our events, and then during lunch at our city parks. And that concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Maricela. Madam Mayor, that ends our executive team reports.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all our directors for your reports. And I'd like to go to item number 16, appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Start off with Councilmember Martin.
Julie Garcia for the Historical and Community Committee, please.
Thank
That's it.
you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Councilmember Mora.
None tonight?
All right, Councilmember Sarno
None tonight.
and Mayor Pro Tem Zamora.
None tonight.
And none for myself, thank you. All right, then item number 17, council comments. We're going to start with Councilmember Mora.
Okay, first of all, thanks for being here tonight and kind of hanging in there with us. Mr. Squire left, but like him and all veterans, our appreciation for the armed forces and everything they do for our country. Lorianne, welcome to our city. Like I stated by Maricela, the movie night was a great block party. Police services came through once again, and thank you to all the cooks that were out there doing the hot dogs. Of course, special thanks to Ray, the consultants, the team, Ivy. It's a learning process. We're getting there, but I really do appreciate all their work. And but I do want to get to work on this. As soon as we can, let's come up with a solution for this. And then also, Grandparents' Day was a lot of fun. I think the grandparents had more fun than the kids did, but Lisa and your team, thank you for putting all that together. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. And we have Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, our summer's coming to an end and all the activities that have been going on, it's great. Thank you. Myself, your staff has been wonderful. Eddie, your staff has been great. Thank you so much for everything that's going on. Thank you for everyone showing up today. These are the decisions that are very hard. It's not always what we want, not always what we like. We need to plan on something to make it better so you're not in the same situation. So I know myself, and I'm guarantee you the council, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure we make up for this deficit and stuff. The whole child, the event, I won't be able to make it tomorrow, but it's great though to see where it started. When Constanza started it, came, brought the idea, and where it's at now, and knowing that we're like the first in the area to have something like that. So that's awesome. Noe, thank you for putting up with what you do. Thank you. You were more or less volunteered, so thank you so much. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. And now we have Councilmember Sarno.
Yes, I just want to say, the decisions we make up here are hard decisions, and we hope we make those decisions for the future of our community, not just for today. And sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we'll get it wrong, but that's the best part about it. We can always work together to fix whatever we've done wrong. And that's what this city's always been about, the businesses, the residents, and the city staff. So hopefully the future is bright for us, which I know it is, because as long as we all work together, it always will be. Chief, I wanted to say thank you, because the fire department is a model to what we should be doing, getting grant writing and saving the city money so they can go out there and get the best equipment, devices, and having the state help us pay for those things. And we need to do that today. We can't always rely on one person or one business to do the job for a community. So if we all work together, I know in the future, we will have the necessary funds that we need to survive, to put programs on, to have the community what it was. So thank you guys and have a great week.
Thank you very much. And now we have Mayor Pro Tem Zamora.
I too want to echo what my colleagues have been saying. First off, I do want to thank Lorianne. Welcome to the team. I've heard you've been a great help, great support already in the office, so thank you. Also, just the fact of our staff, the work and the commitment that they put in, even the consultants, everyone that put in their efforts in. Thank you for giving us the information and all the advice that you can give us, so we can best come to the answers that we came with. Also, Mr. Lee Squire, our veteran, just the fact of when he left, it was actually pretty cool. He stopped and saluted. So it was actually a great thing to see when he was walking out. And, to all veterans, just the fact that, they sacrifice everything they have, some come back with mental health, their families, go through it too. So I just ask that, that God may always put a hedge of protection around them, because they do so much for our community and do so much for us. So you guys have a good night. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Zamora. And I just want to thank all our guests here for being here tonight. And I know it was a long meeting and it was tough for all of us. And I really do believe that we're going to pull through. We're going to move forward. That's what we're about. Santa Fe Springs is a very, very strong city. And it's a generational city. That's why I decided to move here, because of the love and commitment that these residents and these businesses have for this city. It's a beautiful city. And I thank God every day for allowing me to be here, to be able to be a part of this city and watch it grow. I wanted to first congratulate Lorianne again. And we're so excited to have you. And I know you're going to do a great work, and it's a beautiful place to work in. You got a nice staff right there. And thank you for all of our consultants and our staff for all your hard work, and for putting up with me too, because I had to learn all these spreadsheets, and I prepared my own spreadsheets. And what am I going to do with them now? I guess I'll just, I learned from it. Yeah, we all learned from it, but it takes a while to figure out all of this stuff. And I'm glad I did, because, we know more than we did yesterday. I just wanted to thank our Safe Neighborhood Team Committee. The block party was a huge success. Thank you to everybody that volunteered, and everybody, all of our guests that showed up, all of our residents and came over here. And Dino, please thank all your staff. They did a fabulous job. And like I said, all our volunteers, thank you so much. And the Grandparents and Me Day, it was so much fun. And just watching all the kids, and we met new residents that I had never met before. They came up and told us thank you. They really appreciate these programs that we have. And that's why it's so important. We need to keep our programs here and just continue the legacy. So I wanted to thank you. And then the movie series, in the evening, we went to see Luca, and that was even fun. I mean, the staff is just amazing, the way they put all this together and just make it so much fun for all of us. And again, I want to say too, that I really want to have a meeting with the owner of the promenade, and I'm inviting all of our council and our mayor pro tem to go with me and to discuss the appearance of our promenade. I want a promenade that I can be proud of, and I'm sure that everybody does. I've heard so much about what can we do to make him get some stores in that we want to go to, the smoothies or sandwiches or anything. We need to make sure that we talk to him and say, look, you may own the land, but we are residents here. So we got to work together. Let's try and connect with him and see what we can do. I wanted to say too, that we all have a responsibility. It's our city. We all have a responsibility over here to be leaders in our community and to do what's best for all of us, whether it be bringing in revenue, service to our service with our nonprofits, our seniors and our youth programs, and working with everybody. I know that we can make a positive difference. All of us can, but we do need to work together as a team. We do need to respect each other. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to respect each other. Once we get around that, I believe that everything's going to flow, and we're going to lead our city in the right direction. So with that, I would like to adjourn the meeting and just have a blessed evening. Thank you.